the whole playoff thing is just a mess. I mean, I gotta say, I mean, just before we even get back to these games tonight, Max, I mean, the whole playoff system is just weird.
Mm-hmm.
First, you have these PowerPoints, and they've never been a true system, the true measure. I know the NJSIA is trying to go to this true state champion field. They want to get it done for each group. They want to do like all the other sports in this state. They want to do it like other states where they do with football. And they want to be Texas. They want to be Cal. They want to do all these things where you have the Group 5 champions, all four of them, play each other. I mean, they'll have a public school champion. They'll have, I mean, the private schools, you could basically call them state champions. But at this point, you might as well have a St. Joe's who's in Group 2 play a team like Don Bosco, Bergen Catholic, whoever wins Group 4 this year for a true private school state championship at this point. Because I mean, personally, I would like to see that. Can you imagine St. Joe's playing St. Peter's? That'd be a thrilling game.
It would be awesome. It would be kind of the cherry on top to what is a typical great seasons for both of these guys. When you were talking with Nick about it earlier in the night, and he brought it up, do you think the resolution to all this is like the committee idea? Or I mean, what did you think about that when Huba was talking? Kind of going the NCAA route where you have a special committee to decide. I mean, it would still be the PowerPoint thing, and you take that into consideration like you take into consideration who these college teams are playing.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting. I think just because the PowerPoint system has been around for so long, and I know they're trying something new this year with the Born Power Index. I think what the Born Power Index is going to do is that is what Huber was referring to.
Yeah,
that is what's going to go into what is going to be a committee, because that the whole board, the whole BPI is more of a mathematical thing. It takes into account to basically your strength of schedule, who you're obviously who you're playing, the wins, the losses, maybe even blowouts. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions here. So I think the BPI could end up being what turns into a quote-unquote committee.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get rid of the PowerPoint, so I think I think it's mostly a fair way to measure it, because they have a decent system where, if you're a Group 1 school, maybe you should get more points for playing a Group 5 school if you happen to beat them in a regular season game. So it's just weird because they're using two different things, and then if they want to go to a true state championship game, and now they don't have a central group, they don't have central groups yet until, I mean, that to me is absurd. Yeah. The fact that you have to group all the central teams into their respective enrollment groups all in the South, and then redo it kind of geographically once the season starts. I mean, it makes no sense because you're taking the top 16. And it's like, say you're a team. I don't know. I'm trying to find let's go find a Group 5 school. Let's just say it's Williamstown, right? Say Williamstown's near the top. All right, they're the 3 seed in Group 5. You're gonna play. So I mean, hypothetically, if you just did 16 teams, then they would play the 14th seed. But that 14th seed could end up being the 6th or 7th seed in South.
Mm-hmm.
So you might still play them, but then, say if that's another South Jersey school, but it's kind of on the border, and they're the 14th seed, instead of being a 6th or 7th seed and playing Williamstown in South Jersey Group 5, they'll go and be a 5th seed in Central Jersey Group 5, which to me makes no sense. Those are possibilities here, because you can take some of these teams from South Jersey who are kind of that northern part of South Jersey that are kind of on the border, and the same thing goes for Central Jersey, where you kind of consider maybe the Brunswick schools.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Brunswick schools are firmly Central Jersey, and then possibly they could be in South Jersey Group 3, 2, whatever they're in. I mean, to me, that makes no sense, and it's kind of absurd, because then you're kind of screwing up the true geographical nature of all the sections.
So you're saying have them in the geographical areas to begin with.
I mean, I
don't know how you do it otherwise, unless we're doing it like a. That's why I keep reverting back to committee, because if we're doing it that way.
I mean, you have to go back to North 1, North 2, because North Jersey is stock full of schools.
Yeah.
You keep North 1, North 2. I believe they might not even have that. I think it's just North and South this year. So so it is going to be split back up into North 1 and North 2 at the end of the year, but you only have North and South right now between the two groups. So I mean, I think you should go back to the North 1, North 2, Central and South from the season's beginning, and then make your playoffs. I mean, to me, you make it the top 8. I'm fine with the season starting earlier, but you make it the top 8 in each group, each enrollment group. You go through the playoffs. You have all your sectional champions. Then, so say it's Group 5. Then you take the North 1, North 2. You have them play each other to go to the overall state title game. Then you have Central and South Group 5 champs play each other. Then hypothetically, you have the South Group 5 team play the North 2 Group 5 team for an overall Group 5 state title.
Group 5, yeah.
I mean, you can't go to a point where you're playing into January or February when you have 5 playing 3. You can't do that. You have to keep the enrollment groups there, but it seems too simple to just put it back to the 4 sections and then play up to an overall Group 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 state championship.
You're making it sound very simple.
I'm making it sound very easy.
It sounds too easy to be true.
Exactly why.
Or they're making it too difficult.
Yeah, I make it too easy, so it's exactly why they won't do it. So that's just the way it goes. All right, we're going to go to Tom Williams now. He's on the line. He's got a recap for us from Ocean City and Absegami. Ocean City won 9-0 over Gami tonight. Tom, biggest takeaway from tonight, I think at least for me, Ocean City's offense, not that they didn't show up, but it's been explosive the past couple weeks, and Absegami played a pretty good game defensively.
Yeah, they did. They came out with big plays. Ocean City in the first possession got the ball inside the 10, but didn't score, passed on the field goal attempt. Absegami also got inside the 5 and didn't score. So both defenses stepped up, and Ocean City just ended up winning it with the field goal and the touchdown to stay undefeated and set up a game with St. Augustine next week. That'll be their toughest game in the regular season. I just want to expand upon what you were just talking about. There still will be 4 8-team tournaments.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm kind of confused. I mean, maybe not confused, or maybe just a little outraged at the fact that they have to group the whole state into just strictly North and South throughout the season. And then when I mentioned before how they'll take a section like South, and then they'll take the top 16, and then bring most of the teams will stay where they are geographically, and they'll play in Central Group 5 and South Group 5 for the playoffs. But then you could have a situation where you have a team like maybe one of the Brunswick teams, just to use an example, play in the South Jersey tournament, which to me makes no sense, because that is a distinct possibility.
Yeah, I'm not real sure why they decided to take 16 from Central South and 16 from North 1 and 2, and then pick the 8 southernmost, make them the South Jersey teams. And I'm not sure why they did that, but there's probably something behind it. But at the end, it's still you're right. There could be a team that we think of as Central Jersey winning the South Jersey Championship, but that kind of has happened in the past, because a lot of us still think of Toms River North as being Central Jersey, even though they play in South Jersey a lot. And there's been times when Lakewood has played in South Jersey. And in fact, one year in basketball, St. Anthony's of Jersey City played in South Jersey.
Yeah, it is crazy when you think about it. I mean, we even used an extreme example before, where hypothetically, just depending upon how it goes, Ocean City could be traveling to Northern Burlington for a playoff game because they're in the same group.
Yeah, well, that kind of thing's happened. Ocean City and other teams have made significant trips in the playoffs, because you got to figure out you just go by the seeding, and if the team that's the home team. On the other hand, teams have come to Ocean City and other schools down here from distances too. But
of course, it definitely works both ways.
The people that promoted this wanted a state championship in the public schools. It says right in the NJSIAA Constitution that there shall be no state championships in football. But they violated that for the last 15 years or so in the non-publics. And these guys have come up with this idea, and they're going to have the bowl games at the MetLife Stadium, and that's kind of cool that the football players from the South will get to play at MetLife Stadium and that kind of thing. But the ultimate idea is that after doing this for 2 years, then they'll come back and say, well, look, we only have to play one more weekend, and we'll have a state champion.
It's definitely
maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But the thing people have to remember is these things are all voted on. The whole membership, all 300 and some schools of the NJSIA vote on these types of changes. And it's not the coaches and the athletic directors that vote. It's the principal or the superintendent. And I just think there's an awful lot of them that think we got enough football. we don't need a state champion. But it would be an easier way to do this.
Oh, no, of course it would, but, I mean, they never want to make it easy.
Instead of taking the top 8 in each group, go back to the top 4 that they used to do. Now you've saved a whole week. And that's not going to. Now you're not extending the football season.
That is, I mean, it is one idea. I just think they would never do that again, just because they've gone with 8 teams. Now they're at 16, so they've pretty much expanded it to a sense. And I mean, they're not going to shorten the year now at this point, just because then a lot of schools are going to give you that outcry and say, "Hey, that's not fair." But I mean, we're just as good, even though we're the 5th place team in this group.
I agree. And the other thing that's changed, and Ocean City's going to face that next week, and other teams have faced it already this year. There's 17 non-public schools in the state of New Jersey that are in a special category, and if you play them, you get a lot of points. If Ocean City's playing St. Augustine next week, if they lose, well, let's look at it this way. If they'd have played St. Augustine last year under the old rules, and St. Augustine came into the game 2-2 and beat Ocean City would have gotten 2 points for that loss.
Right. Now they get a lot more due to this new Born Power Index.
Now they get 28 points
Woo!
if they lose to St. Augustine, plus the 2 points for the St. Augustine's 2 wins.
Oh my goodness!
So they get 30 points instead of 2. And should they upset them, last year on last year's rules, St. Augustine's coming in 2-2, so that's 6 points for their 3 for each of their 2 wins, plus 6 points for beating them, that's 12, plus 4 points because they're Group 4 school. So under last year's rules, they would have gotten 16 points for beating St. Augustine next week. If they do beat them next week, they'll get 48. So the reason they do this is because these 17 schools, and there's only 4 of them in South Jersey, St. Augustine, St. Joe, Holy Spirit, and Camden Catholic, and especially the North Jersey schools, the Don Boscos and St. Peter's and so forth, they have trouble getting public schools to play them. So this is a way to encourage the public schools to play them. But it's only good for 1 game. In other words, if you play St. Augustine and St. Joe's, it only works. You only get those big points for one of the 2 games. So it's confusing. It's got a little more confusing, but hopefully it'll be fair in the end.
Yeah, and one can only hope, and hopefully it does get simplified, at least by hopefully next year. One more before we let you go, Tom. Just talking about Ocean City real quick. I mean, they came off a nice win tonight, obviously more defensively nice than the offense tonight. 9-0 over Absegami. You mentioned it. They play St. Augustine Prep next week, arguably the biggest game of the year. Should they get by that one, regardless of a win or loss, I just by the way the schedule is working and the way they're playing this year, it seems like all signs are pointing for an Ocean City mainland showdown October 26th in Ocean City for the division title in the Independence Division.
I think that's very possible. I think Oak Crest is also in that mix.
Definitely,
Oak Crest,
yes.
They play Oak Crest the week before mainland. So, they get St. Augustine next week, then they have a week off, and then they go to Triton for another crossover game that doesn't count in the division standings. And then they'll have those 2 games, Oak Crest and mainland, their last 2 games in October and the last 2 games of the regular season before Thanksgiving. So you're right. It could come down to Oak Crest. It could come down to mainland. I think Oak Crest and mainland play before that. So
I believe that is correct as well. I mean, it seems like Oak Crest had a nice win over EHT tonight, and after a 2-8 year last year, Oak Crest I think can throw a wrench in a little bit with Ocean City and mainland.
Yeah, and it would be great because there's been some incredible games between those 2 schools through the years.
All right, Tom, gotta let you go, but we appreciate the time as always. Great discussion on the PowerPoints, and hopefully they get it solved, and we'll see what Ocean City could do against St. Augustine Prep next week.